to the Feed You podcast, giving you the real scoop on raising your business to new heights. Expert education, inspiration, and motivation to fuel your purpose, your passion, and your profits. Here's your host, Elisa Connor.
Hello. Welcome to the Feed You podcast. I'm Elisa Connor. I'm your host. This is the podcast where you come to feed your business and feed yourself so that you can increase your profits, your passions, and connect with your purpose. So today is, as I'm recording this, the first day of fall, the Fall Equinox, and it's always a big change internally for me. And I thought it would be a really interesting episode to pull together just some facts and information about the changes of the season and how that affects us, whether we're aware of it or not, and also how it affects our business and how we can get into alignment with the rhythm of those seasons so that we can better produce and have better product launches, service launches, course launches, whatever we're trying to put out into the world. And we're aligning them with the seasons that are going to increase our chances of success. And so being the fall equinox, I am a huge fan of fall. It's probably my favorite season. And this year, it seems like it has been even more pertinent that I have become more aware of the shift. And one of the things that I'm going to talk about a little bit later in the episode is when the actual end of fall begins. Because most people believe it begins today. And I'm going to dive into that in just a little bit. But I'm hoping that you will take away from this episode the call to action to think about when you're doing your planning. Because as we move into the last 3 months of the year, we have about, 8 days of September left, and then we're into October. This year has been challenging, to say the least. And it has really not only challenging because we've had to adjust and adapt, but challenging internally and mentally, and our ability to kind of manage things that we either were kind of pushing off into the corner and not wanting to deal with, or having things that we had thought about making shifts or changes about brought right to the forefront. And so I know many people, including myself, that are going through a lot of different shifts, not only in their business, but in their lives, and things are moving very quickly. And so if it helps you to better prepare for next year, because next year is still going to look very different compared to what the beginning of this year looked like in January of 2020. January of 2021 is going to look very different than it has in the past. And so we have to adapt the way that we plan, the way that we move forward, and take into consideration the different things happening in our world and how those might affect how we move forward. And that doesn't always have to be negative. I think that sometimes we move ourselves into a mindset of, oh, it's different, so it's bad. But I really like to challenge you into thinking that even though it's different, there is still a lot of positive around it. And it brings to the forefront new opportunities and new possibilities for us to move forward in our business, adjust and adapt our businesses, and even serve new people and new audiences that we hadn't thought about before. So let's dive into first the different seasons. Each of the seasons has a representation for inward work, and also, we experience them externally. So as we move into fall, we are thinking about the things that we're grateful for, which it's, in the US and even in Canada, this is a time to have gratitude. And that practice was developed because of gratitude for all of the harvest that that people would be able to gather up and keep for the winter because of the summer months. And so they were grateful that they had food and they had plants and they had all these things that would help them survive through the colder months until they got to spring again. And so if you take it backwards, to when some of the traditions were created that we celebrate during this part of the year, it goes back to that fall harvest time. And so if you look at that in your business, you can look at the seeds that you planted and the work that you put in during the other seasons, and what can you harvest now? Can you harvest, maybe it's profits from products or services that you've launched. Maybe it's ideas that you've put into implementation or that you're just starting to build out. Is it preservation of current clients? Is it, all these different things. And so fall is a time that you not only have gratitude, but you're harvesting all of the seeds and the rewards that you've planted over time. And it also gives you an opportunity to create room by letting go of things that are no longer serving you. And so what does that look like in nature? If we just take a look out in nature right now, and I go on a daily walk, you see that the trees are beginning to lose their leaves. Well, because they're letting them go, knowing that is imminent to their survival to let the leaves go. Otherwise, they won't survive the winter because they can't feed the leaves and the main part of the tree and survive. And so fall offers us the opportunity to also let go of, maybe it's clients that are more stressful than, valued. It's letting go of ideas and thoughts that we have that are holding us back from becoming who we are intended to be, or moving us forward into a new challenge or a new opportunity. And so during fall, we are given the opportunity to create space, because when the winter comes, which I'll get to in a minute, we have to have space in order to create new things and develop new ideas, things like that. So we can have gratitude for all of the things that we have created over time, but we can also have an awareness over the things that are not working, that are taking up space in our lives, whether it's relationships, customers, products or services that maybe have met their end of time. There's a reason that seasonally most companies have a clearance. Like they put things on clearance because it's time to get rid of the older and bring in the new. And so you see this repeated all throughout your life if you take time to become aware of it. And so taking that and implementing it into your business and making yourself aware of what needs to go in order to make room for the new is really important. And so I encourage you to do that this fall season, even if it's just to take out a piece of paper and start making notes. And sometimes we just need to make an inventory of what we're doing, what we're working on, what's working, what's not working, and set aside the judgment, because it doesn't do you any good to sit there and judge yourself for things that have or have not been done. And just make a list of, okay, here's the things that I'm working on that bring me joy and fulfill my purpose and really light me up. And here's a list of things that they've either fallen through the cracks, they're not that important anymore, they're not feeding, my interests or my values, or they're not feeding my business. And just do an inventory and see what you were going to let go of. And even if it's just to let go of it for now, and then maybe you pick it up again in the future at some point. So that leads us directly into winter. And winter is a time for rest and hibernation, and a time to plan and dive inward and have reflection and let our creativity flow with new ideas and new opportunities and new thoughts and new ways of doing things. There's a reason that January is the time that we all start to plan, December and January, for the next year, is because our creativity is naturally in alignment with the season to begin to plan and move forward with the next year. And so winter gives us the opportunity, with less light and more darkness, to go inward and to be able to focus on, what our true goals and desires are and why we want those things. And a lot of times we busy ourselves with the holiday season and feel really let down and in a little bit of a depression once the holidays are over and we've taken down all our decorations and all of that stuff. And it's because we have not given ourselves permission to go into the quiet and to go inward and reflect on what it is that we truly are moving toward in this lifetime. And as I've gotten older, it has been so much less about the hubbub of the holidays for me, and more of the time to reflect and be present and dive inwardly during those colder times and colder months. And I'm going to dive into the timing of that in just a minute, because it's a lot more interesting than what we would imagine. Just this one day, the solstice, is when things shift. But first, let's get through the rest of the season. So spring is obviously a time in your business where you're planting new seeds, you're planting new ideas. There's a sense of renewal. It's the start of new projects. It's the start of bringing new ideas to life, and planting the seeds for those ideas and thoughts and products and all the different things in your business and directions. And if you're planting those seeds during the spring, they are much more likely to be more successful because they're in alignment with the energy around us. And that energy is, not only the earth and the seasons and all of those things, but the natural energy within us, because we too are directly connected to the seasons and the energy of the seasons, whether we are aware of it or not. But I would encourage you to notice, just even through the fall and winter, where your energy comes and goes. If it starts to weigh as we move into fall and winter, if you seem more lethargic, and it's really not it's not that hard to observe this in ourselves, because we move inward inside our homes, inside of buildings because it's cold outside, and also inside ourselves, if we open ourselves up to that possibility. And so when spring comes, we're able to open the doors again and open the windows and have some warm days and start to feel like there's hope again, and that the cold days of winter are behind us. So naturally that leads us to summer, and summer is the season we are exiting today. And it marks, the fall equinox marks the end of the summer season, and summer is about growth and light and movement and fuel and energy and accomplishment, and all of the things that we planted in the spring are coming to fruition in the summer, so that when the fall comes, we are able to harvest from that energy. And so that leads us back to fall. And what's interesting, and I learned this many years ago, everything seems like many years ago when you're an entrepreneur. It was probably 2 or 3 years ago. I had a wonderful yoga teacher who was very attuned to earth energy, and she still is. In fact, ended up moving to the mountains just to be more in tune with that, and is doing some wonderful things. But she was the first one to bring to my attention the actual movement of the seasons. And so, because we automatically think, okay, well, today's the end of summer and the beginning of fall. But in reality, the summer season started to end the day after the summer solstice, because which to me was a huge mind shift. So today begins the end of fall. Even though it's the first day of fall, we begin to transition into winter. And what that looks like, so if we look at the summer solstice, it's the brightest day of the year. It's the most sunlight we have. From that day forward, the days get shorter. And so that means we are moving closer and closer to fall. And so now that we are moving into the fall solstice, today is the beginning of fall, but it is also the beginning of moving toward winter. And so when we actually get to the winter, it's not the solstice, it's the winter equinox. But when we get to winter, the season of winter in December, we have actually been moving toward winter the entire time from today until December. And so we are physically and mentally and spiritually already moving into the fall and almost the winter roll. And so even though this is the end of, or the beginning of the fall season, we will now start to move into the part of the season where we're starting to want to have more rest and starting to think about planning and moving forward. And the harvest has already, starting to wrap up. If you go and you look at the farmer's market, for example, you see that most of the harvest has already been harvested, especially in Colorado. Our growing season is incredibly short compared to a lot of the rest of the country. But when you're going, you're starting to see like the farmers markets start to wrap up their produce by the beginning of October. Well, today there's only a week left of September. And so when we're looking at it that way, and we're looking at like, we're really moving into the winter season starting tomorrow. And so if you start to feel a little bit more lethargic and a little bit more inward reflective, and you're starting to come up with some new ideas, I encourage you to document that and journal that out and see, you know, where that leads you. Because as we move into winter and we come to that winter equinox, which I think is the 22nd of December, don't quote me, 22nd, 23rd of December, which is right before the Christmas season, we then are starting to move into spring. And so we have to start thinking about how we're going to plant those seeds. So I bring this to your attention because as we're excited about fall and we're excited about moving inward and we're excited about the season, to be aware of how that affects your business and how it affects you, and to be gracious with yourself if you are feeling more tired and you have been feeling more tired and you're feeling more going inside and cuddling up with a blanket and spending more time, you know, doing the things that are inward bound. Because even in Colorado, like today, it's 80 degrees. And so it really doesn't feel like fall yet. Like the weather is really different than it normally is. And we still have the cooler nights, but things are not feeling fall-ish yet. But we often don't have long falls. We often go from 90 degrees to snow, as we've already seen this month. So just be aware of what that looks like and really what the true approach into each season looks like. And so you may be asking, okay, well, that's really great. This is all really interesting about the seasons, Elisa, but what does it mean for my business? When you focus on the seasons and where you're at in that season, it helps you become aware of why you're doing what you're doing in your business and when you're doing it. Because if you don't take a minute to go inward and you don't take a minute to stop and reflect, you are just constantly on a motion train. And most people start a business because of two things. One, they want to create big impact in the world. And it could be both of these things. It doesn't have to be either or. They want to somehow impact the world and leave a legacy, leave an opportunity for what their life's work has done to impact others for years to come. The other is that they want freedom. And so if you have become a slave to your business, what is differentiating you from working for somebody else? What is the differentiation between you having a job and having your own business if all you do is work? When ultimately what your goal was when starting your business was to either create impact, which you have to have time to do, or creating freedom for yourself to do the things that you love. And so I ask you, during this time of reflection, during this time of moving into a state of rest and hibernation and planning, and as we move toward that, and taking inventory of where we are, what we've accomplished this year, and if, you know, not having a judgment over we wanted it to look like this and it ended up looking like this because of Corona and all these different outside circumstances, is an awareness of, are you in alignment with where you want to be in your business and in your life? When was the last time you took time for you? And this has come up really pretty monumentally in my life right now, because I worked full on March through September, the beginning of September, and didn't take a break, didn't take time to, everybody else is like, yeah, I'm home watching TV. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I have been swamped. And so when you have to slow down and you have an awareness, you're like, something's wrong. I'm not going 100 miles an hour. And it takes a while to adapt and realize that nothing is wrong. Everything is taken care of. Everything is the way it's supposed to be. This is nature's way and the world's way of saying you need to slow down and enjoy. My dad always had a saying, he's like, you need to kick back. You need some time to kick back. And I always think of that as I'm, rush. I'm like, okay, when is my kickback time? When do I have time to further explore relationships with my children and figure out what's going on in their lives, and further explore, where do I want to go next? Where is it I want to focus? Where is it I really can be of most service to other people? And what does that look like? Being in alignment with the seasons also helps you to eliminate things that don't fuel you and your passion. If you're doing all of these activities and they don't fuel you and they aren't in alignment with what your specific gifts are, you spend a lot of time and energy doing things you don't love, which make you unhappy. And again, put you in the position of, you might as well just go get a job doing what you do for somebody else, because you're not attaining one of the two things that encouraged you to start your business to begin with: freedom or impact, or both. Because if you are feeling overwhelmed and overburdened all the time, there's no way you have time to create an impact. You can't. You're burned out. You're energetically drained. And then the other key piece that I put in here about aligning with the seasons is it gives you time when you're in alignment to slow down, for you to focus on what your unique purpose is. And a lot of times we get stuck in our heads as entrepreneurs about, what is my purpose? What should I be doing? And your purpose isn't something you need to search for. It's just something that is. And that has come after many years of searching for my purpose. And I can tell you that when I became aware of what my gifts were, when I just became aware and I let them flow through me. I don't know another way to say that without it sounding woo-woo. Everybody has a unique purpose. Everybody has a reason they are here. And when you are in alignment with that and aware of that alignment, you are unstoppable. But if you don't free up the time in your life and in your mind and in your business to be able to sit and become aware of that, you are just fighting an uphill battle, and one that will burn you out, make you tired, and make you just decide to give up on your dream. And I don't want that for anyone. So when we look at the season that we're just pulling away from, the summer season, we have the opportunity in the summer to have the sun power us, power our business, power our ideas, power, the connection of new relationships. And we are in a season of being on. We are on like a light bulb all day long, because there's a lot of energy around us. The sun is, we have long days and long nights. And so oftentimes, bedtimes are later and you're getting up earlier and you're stretching your days as long as they will go until we get to fall, where the seasons must change because the days will get shorter. And so as we welcome fall into, through today, through the solstice, we can look at the earth and see, okay, so what is the earth doing right now? What is nature doing around us? Well, the birds are starting to build their winter havens, or they're flying to a warmer climate. The trees are letting go of their leaves. Flowers are dying off. Gardens are being pulled. Harvests are being, taken in and frozen or canned or whatever, preserved for the future, or used for food. And I always remember growing up, like my grandma, she canned everything. She had a huge garden and she canned or froze everything because they didn't have the opportunity to have fresh vegetables in those days unless they grew them and preserved them. So she did a lot of canning and a lot of bartering with neighbors for different things. She made all her own jelly and canned fruits and vegetables, and both grandmas did. And so they recognized as well, whether it was obvious or they talked about it or whatever, but they recognized that they needed to let go of what was happening in the world, in that in-between time between fall and summer. Let go of the garden, let go of outside activities, let go of all of those different things that happen in fall. Just like the trees let go of the leaves. You see the leaves falling on the ground, and you can't move forward into winter trying to preserve the leaves on the tree and preserve the integrity of the tree. And so what is it that you need to let go of before the winter comes so that you can go with peace internally and determine where you want to go next year? Is it relationships? Is it commitments? Is it different duties that you need to outsource or just eliminate? What things are you holding on to really tightly, and why? Why are you holding on to them? And are they best serving you? And those can be dreams, those can be goals, those can be relationships, they can be clients, they can be whatever it is. And how can you emulate fall by just letting it go? And a lot of times we think everything is so permanent, and really it's not permanent. Like, you can decide to let it go now, and in 6 months, it may be the perfect time for you to pick it back up. But if you don't let go of it and you don't release it right now, you're going to hold on to it all through the winter, and that it's like clasping your hand closed. You hold on to that so tightly that you make no room for what's next or what's new to come. And so if you emulate fall and you open your hand and you just let it go, what sort of space can you create in your business and in your life so that you can thrive in the spring and bring more purpose and passion into your life, into your business, and into those that you help? And so I would encourage you, as homework from this episode, to take an inventory of, which clients, products, and services you want to keep and that you want to let go of. And you don't have to show this to anyone. You can just take a piece of paper, make 2 columns, keep, let go. And which projects you have been thinking about and maybe never put a pen to paper about that you want to make room for as the fall and winter seasons come. So take away from this 2 things. One, how can you better align your business and your goals and the things that you want to do in your life with the seasons? And so that when you're ready to move forward and plant new seeds in the spring, you have the room and you've taken the time to reflect and see what those mean. Because the deeper picture here is not how much money you can make with your business. That is really the result of everything else that accumulates. And with all the money in the world, if you don't have any freedom to enjoy it, what's the point? What's the point of all the money if you can't impact others or enjoy freedom? And so I beckon you to look at the way you align your life and the way you align your business to the way nature has aligned itself. Because when you align yourself and you're in congruence with that, you will find more joy, more happiness, more impact, and more freedom. So take my challenge, pull out a piece of paper, and make a list of things that you want to keep and things that you want to let go of and things that you want to put on the back burner. And that can be in the let go pile. You can just put a little asterisk, like, I'm going to come back to this later and look at it. I'm going to come back to this in the spring and see it through new eyes and see if I want to plant that seed or not. And if you don't, it's okay to let it go. That's what I have for you today. Happy fall equinox. Thank you for spending some time with me to talk through the seasons. I hope that this episode brings to you a way for you to feed yourself. Because if we don't feed ourselves first, we can't feed other people, which means we can't feed our business either. And so these episodes that are based on self-care are really important to take to heart and to ultimately create not only impact in your life, but the impact that you will create with the ripple effect of other people's lives. Because when you make monumental changes and shifts in your beliefs and your thoughts and the ways that you move forward, you create impact for others. So tune into the seasons. I would love to know from you all over on the Facebook page. It's Small Business Builders on Facebook. What are you letting go of this fall? Or what are you moving toward making room for as fall comes and approaches and moves through this next season? Until next week, I hope you take care, that you're healthy and you're well, and that you will take the challenge and implement aligning your business and yourself with the seasons. See you next week. The past year has taught us that marketing and advertising to get new clients has 100% flipped on its head. You may be shrugging your shoulders and wondering, how am I going to get in front of new people now? Everybody's online, it's crowded, and I don't know how to stand out. Well, I have a solution for you. The best way to get in front of your ideal client and the people that you want to sell your product or service to is through email marketing. Email marketing has a 400% return on investment. It's higher than anything else that you can invest in to grow your business. That's crazy But to get people on your email list, you have to get their email address. And that's almost as protected as a social security number. That's crazy, right? How are you going to get them to hand over their email address? Well, you have to give them something that they want so badly that's going to solve their problem that they will give you their email address in exchange for it. But how in the world do you come up with that? Well, I have a solution for you. I've created a 5-day challenge that I'm running in September, where each and every day we're going to walk through one piece of creating that download. That free download that you can then put on your website and start growing your email list so that you can continue to market them and move them through your sales funnel and ultimately purchase products and services from you. If you've struggled with creating your download because you don't have any idea of what to create, you don't know how to design it, you don't know how much information to put in it, and you don't know how to stand out from your competition, this is the challenge for you. I invite you to come join me in September and get all of the details over at elisaconner.com/challenge so that you can finally stand out from the noise on social media, start to grow an email list and grow your business, and get in front of more of your ideal clients. Sign up today for the free 5-day challenge at elisaconner.com/challenge. I'll see you in